it, because it's been a 7-year project here to slowly peel one thing off at a time. So today's focus, content-wise, is a lot more about business side in the morning, with the idea of equipping folks to do what they need to do what you need to do when you tell me, I want to start at X, right? We are actually having Willow, who is Sunshine Prepper, tell her story at the salon time this evening. So definitely find to listen to that. She went through our first project accelerator that Toolman Tim and Sean and I did with Carrie. So this is sort of an update or a follow-up to that. And then I'm handing it over to you, Tim, because
she's knocked it out of the damn park too.
Yeah.
So I got to say, so
yeah.
Anybody here your first time? Anybody? Just one? Okay.
My first time here. Huh?
You never? Okay. So the only reason I ask is tonight's a barter blanket. So
okay.
I don't want to be one of those guys. You guys awake yet? No, I'm just kidding. So are you nervous with barter blanket?
Honestly, I don't. I mean, I kind of have some assumptions, but
That's fine.
Don't know.
You'll do great. I just wanted to remind you it's 8:00, right? I think
Yeah.
We got 2,000 hours. Yeah.
I mean,
whatever.
so
It'll be
the
somewhere
barter
around
blanket does not necessarily start at 8 on the dot,
there. Right.
but we do try to start it early enough that it doesn't go until
Midnight.
Because it can go a while
I'm
sometimes.
asleep.
Yeah.
So it's sort of loosely around when the fire's ready and when people have sort of finished their dinner, and we want the kitchen staff to take place too, so they like to get the dishes started.
So it's a hell of a good time.
It's a really good time.
Nothing to be nervous. I was like, what the hell's a barter blanket the first year?
You want to tell them how it works, just big picture?
Big picture, come with something to trade or to put on for a bid. And that you can be as creative as you want. And the real selling point is the narrative. So you need to have a story behind it. Okay, like the maple leaf that I may or may not have carried across the border in certain orifices. So you're here, so now you can be in on it. But yeah, no. So that's all it is. It can be as funny or whatever. And then the idea is that folks around the fire will bid or offer you something else for it, and then you get to choose to take it or not take it, and hilarity ensues. There's usually some imbibing of intoxicating beverages, and we have a hell of a time. And it only runs until it runs out of steam. We always cut it off before it gets old.
just one item, or
Many as you want.
Many as you want, little as you want. It doesn't matter to me.
Hey, Tim,
So-
does that have to be a tangible physical item?
No, it could be a service. You could, I don't know.
For your husband's services.
Yeah, well, I was going to say, right. I mean, you could be a retired phone sex operator and offer to give courses on how to apply your trade, right? I mean,
Or inactive.
yeah, or not. I didn't mean to discriminate whatsoever. So anyway, I'll shut up. But that's what it's for. So I'm sorry for.
I traded my first barter blanket. I traded an Airbnb experience because I happened to have an Airbnb, but I didn't have it there. And it's why the first workshop happened here, because I traded it for somebody to come speak. They were like, I'll speak anywhere in the country. And I was like,
There you go. It's fun. I mean, I didn't come with anything, didn't really know about it, and I traded a maple leaf. So we had a hell of a time. So you'll yeah, whatever. Anyway, so sorry for picking on you.
no, that's right. I'm used to it.
I'm not really sorry. I'm just Canadian. That's what we use for punctuation.
That's
So,
right.
And one more announcement. So
all right.
the bus is available if anybody wants to look. All right.
Oh.
Don't worry about tracking mud and grass in. I already did that for you. And all you have to do, the door is not locked or anything. There's a little handle right there. You grab that handle, the door will open, walk on in, look at it. Don't steal anything of value.
Can we steal things of
yeah, still the cheap stuff.
It's all relative, right? So anyway,
That's cool.
it lights are on so you can see it, and there it is. Any questions? Find me when I'm not working.
All right. So, Patricia, I always try to say something witty, but I'm never really that good at it. But no. So Patricia's a lawyer, so don't hold that against her. She's also from Washington State. Don't hold that against her. She's also a female. No. So no. So I was trying. I think we met it. I mean, we did some live streams together. And just kind of hit it off. I really like the way her brain works, and we had some good conversations. I think
Okay,
we
can
met
y'all
first
scoot
time.
closer together because you're both right
You
behind
need
me.
Oh.
this one.
Thank
All right,
you.
there we go.
You
Yeah.
need this one, huh?
So
Awesome.
I'm not gonna say so. No, but anyway, so we met. We did some live streams. I think it was I don't know.
It was
the
after party,
Yeah,
yeah.
we had a hell of a time, and so then I think we met at Self Alliance Festival the first time, and I love following what she does. She's a skier, a horse jumper,
Yeah.
a world traveler, and a lady who has her head on straight for sure. So have fun. What are you talking about today?
I'm talking about getting a business startup and getting your geese in order,
Perfect.
making your geese fly in formation.
Well, I'll sit down and listen to you. So there you go.
Tim knows all about geese because
Sure.
Canada. No, I don't know if you guys travel to Canada a lot, but like he's not joking that they use sorry as punctuation.
Literally.
It took me a minute. We have offices up there, and I traveled there and do training, and it took me a little bit to like get that vibe down, but they're not kidding. Okay, so Nicole asked me if I wanted to speak, and I said, of course I do. I would do anything for you folks in this community or TSP community because you guys are awesome. So, like Tim said, I'm a lawyer. I started out like most lawyers do in private practice, working at a law firm, doing construction law, and I got into that because my grandparents had raised me, and my grandpa was a building contractor and a carpenter. And I spent every summer working on whatever house he was building. So when I went into this interview at this law firm, they were like, do you know how to read blueprints? And I was like, of course I do. There are people out there that don't know how to read blueprints. Are you kidding me? That's weird. So I was hired. So I worked there. I hated it, hated every second of it. I liked the work. I liked the clients. I did not enjoy other lawyers. So I actually have a shirt that says does not play well with other lawyers. It's a whole thing. So struggled on with that for a while. Market crash in 2009. All young lawyers in construction lost their jobs pretty much if they were at law firms. So I kind of bounced around and ended up teaching high school for a little bit. And I taught U.S. history, government, civics, English, and had an actually really good time. I taught at North Hollywood High School. And then after that, there was a hiring freeze. So I couldn't get out of my temporary teacher position. So ended up going back to law, ended up going in-house. So I ended up working for an architecture firm as one of the staff lawyers, which is awesome because you don't bill time. I just go to work and then I go home. I'm just salary and it's whatever the hours are. And it was really, really fun. Ended up being a bit of a toxic company, kind of like working in the Mad Men TV series, if you've ever watched that. It was like Mad Men brought to life. So it was a little much for me. And then I was poached by their competitor in 2016. And I have been there ever since. And it's wonderful. We have a fabulous team of 5 lawyers. So a general counsel, 2 regional general counsels. I'm the West Coast regional general counsel. And then 2 juniors under us. And then our boss is retiring next May. So my counterpart and I, she's stepping up to general counsel. And I'm stepping up to deputy general counsel. And we're going to be in charge. So that's pretty exciting and very unicorn in the world of law. So I always have people say, you love your job. Like, talk to my nephew or my niece or my kid that wants to be a lawyer. And my advice is always don't. Matt has to say don't do it. Because there are probably less than 100 of us that do what I do and have the flexibility. Like we all work from home. Our hours are our own. It's project based. Like it's basically like building your own lifestyle company inside of a company. And it just doesn't happen often. So that's my background. So I've seen all the bad things that happen when you screw up on the front end. So I really like helping people be in prevention rather than triage, right? If you do it up front and you know what's coming, your life is going to be a lot better. So let's just jump right in. So this is about starting up your startup. I was pretty punchy when I wrote this because of everybody was talking about I fell off my horse. My horse launched me over a jump and I landed in the mud. And nothing is broken. I just have awesome soft tissue injuries and a concussion. So we'll see if I'm extra goofy doing this one. That's my disclaimer. Don't read it. The only thing that's a little bit funny is this. It may also be boring and cause drowsiness. It just has links and stuff, and we got to put that in there. Like if you want me to email that to you, I will. Okay, topics. I got really goofy with the geese that I put in here. I just didn't want you to be too bored. So topics. We're going to talk about business formation, which is kind of the first thing you got to do. Waivers, disclaimers, client contracts. We're going to talk about insurance, which will put you to sleep, maybe. And then we're going to talk about some record keeping stuff. Okay, so business formation. I am teaching this with an anarchist spin, okay? I understand that a lot of us are like, fuck this license, fuck you. No, I'm going to get you kicked off YouTube. Sorry.
I don't care.
Okay. Can we swear in these?
Yeah, YouTube does not bring me any money, really, or new people.
I don't want to get anybody.
You'll be fine.
It does not matter.
Okay.
Say COVID 3 times.
It's like Beetlejuice, right?
Yeah.
You say Beetlejuice 3 times and the YouTube police appears.
So that's the way we all feel about government and licensing. I get it. So have a plan, even if your plan is no plan. And what that means is if your plan is no plan, just know the consequences if you eventually catch the attention of whatever department of making you sad is going to come and make you sad. Okay, so that's kind of the top. So this is not totally an exhaustive list of the ways you could form a business. Like I'm not even going off my paper. Isn't that funny? I don't need this. This is not an exhaustive list. I mean, there are other things that come in and come off. I mean, we talk about limited liability LLCs, which haven't existed for that long. And Matthew and I were actually talking about like weird loopholes in the law because those were created and the laws were never adjusted. So this is kind of the menu. Nobody's expecting you to memorize or even know what these are. The point of this slide is just so you know, there's a big universe of the ways you could put your business together, and it all depends on what you're doing and what you want out of it. So I'm going to hit a couple highlights of these. I'm not doing all of them because we'd be here all day. So the biggest, most popular one I see kind of in like the homesteading agriculture community is you just do it. It's a sole proprietorship. So these are really easy. It's just one entity to deal with, which is yourself and yourself. Like that's it. Probably don't have to pay any fees. Some states will hit you for like doing business as stuff, but probably there aren't a lot of fees on this. Some tax advantages, disadvantages, it depends. Then I wrote not going there. Talk to Matthew. Don't ask me tax questions. I didn't even take that class in law school. It's not a required course. Taxes scare the shit out of me. That's not my jam. No. Same with like, I'm sure if you ask any of us like a trust and estate question, we'd be like, no, please don't. So that's one way you can do it. You do a regular corporation. I like these. I am an outlier among a lot of my peers. It requires some more steps and paperwork to form, but it's really not that complicated. Like you can get this off LegalZoom. It takes 2 seconds. It's not a big deal. It does cost money to establish and maintain, and some states will hit you for a lot of money, even if you're not using it. So if you're not, like in California, they're going to charge you $800 a year, whether you're using it or not, or making any money or not. So you have to like kind of stay on that with your state and dissolve it if you stop using it. May limit some personal liability. I say may, because if you screw it up, it won't. You have to keep accurate books. Your books have to be perfection, because if you get an audit, the records have to be there. Tax advantages, again, see Matthew. This can be great. It helps when you're buying a house, because the way lenders feel about sole proprietors. I mean, if you've ever bought real estate as a sole proprietor or business owner, it's a huge pain in the ass. This will still be a pain in the ass. It will be a slightly smaller pain in the ass. So that's another way. You can do an S corp, which is what I call like the stepchild of the sole proprietorship and the corporation. It's kind of a blending. Same idea. More steps, paperwork to form, not that hard. Again, may limit some personal liability, tax advantages. See Matthew. These also cost money to maintain, and it's always kind of the same. It's just like, what structure do you want? Are you willing to put in the work to maintain the structure? Okay, great, go do that. And it's just going to depend on what you're doing. I put these all in a pile. There's partnerships, nonprofits, LLCs, all these things. These are going to depend on your specific business needs. You need to talk to a tax advisor and a business advisor, because there are some businesses that can only be like a limited liability partnership, or a professional corporation. Like as a lawyer in California, I have to be a professional corporation. Like I don't get a choice. So, well, you can be a sole proprietorship. There's some ways around that, but depending on like if you're an architect, all the states have rules on how your architecture corporation has to be put together. Like only in certain states, Nevada is one, only architects can own part of your business. So if you want to go into business with your spouse, you can't if it's architecture or engineering, unless they're also an engineer. So it's all of those kinds of weird things that you kind of take into account. Okay, the formation is a little bit less important than the next step, which is the paperwork that's behind what you're doing. So you're going to have waivers, disclaimers, and client contracts. The number one question you have to ask yourself, see, I can't talk, I have a concussion, is what services or goods will you provide? Are you providing services? Are you providing goods? Are you doing all the things? Okay, then you're going to need both sets of documents. That's fine. And it depends on your specific business and how you're going to interact with your customers and clients. Are you selling to businesses? Are you selling to consumers? Are you selling online? Are you selling at a farmer's market? Are you selling at a really cool roadside fruit stand? Like these all require, like, are you running events? Like Nicole even has like another set of documents that she's got to have for this, right? So it could be all of them. It could be one of them. It could be two of them. Okay, waivers and disclaimers. I found a couple of like amusing examples. So this is for sheets, right? So JCPenney is unable to provide customers complete assurance that the Royal Velvet Egyptian cotton towels or the Royal Velvet Egyptian cotton Damas stripe comforter set were made using 100% Egyptian fibers. The products are still expected to provide long-lasting durability and performance. So they don't know what's going on at the plant, basically. They're like, we think it's made out of this, probably. So this way, if you like get a wild hair and send your sheets to a lab or something weird, and you're like, these are 100% Egyptian fiber, they're like, we told you. Like you can tell, like you can do a DNA test on your, I don't know. But I thought that one was pretty funny.
Oh,
Did you think of
well, I'm gonna go for a walk now.
Oh,
Wanna
hi,
go for a
puppers. We had a puppy interloper. Like you see this all the time. We make no other warranties, express or implied, whether statutory or otherwise, as to the quality or performance of our product. And you're like, what the hell? Like I literally just bought this for something, and it says that there's no warranty. Is it gonna just spontaneously combust? They just put that for, it's not always. It doesn't always work for them. I'm sure you've seen this product is printed as is. You see this all the time. Like you would definitely see this on like a hammer. Seller's not responsible for damages. Like if you take the hammer and knock yourself in the face, right? They're like, this is not my problem. Same thing. I've seen this on services. You're accepting any and all risk associated with its use. Really? We're not responsible for any injury or damage related to the use of this product or service. This is because people are stupid, right? These disclaimers exist because people are like, I wonder how sharp my lawnmower is. I'm going to try it on my foot. Like this. I mean, that's literally why these exist, right? But you should have them because they exist for a reason. And you should think about what kind of really dumb things people could do, like dropping the hairdryer in the bathtub, while they're in it. It's this, use your imagination, really. So, but you should still have these. You should have this stuff like on your website. So really anything goes, maybe. It depends on state and federal law, the type of product and service, and the type of client and consumer. You can get away with a lot more if you're selling to businesses. Like if you're selling to people who should know better, if you're selling lawnmowers to landscapers, like you're safer than selling lawnmowers to 15-year-olds starting up a lawn mowing business. So that, draft your stuff accordingly. All right. This is the part that's more fun. Okay.
Says the contract lawyer.
Yeah, says the contract lawyer. Nerd. Says the nerd. Yeah, I love contracts. I see contracts as like, I don't see them as like lines of paper. I see them as, those like sci-fi interconnected, like neuron lit up webs that like connect things. Like that's how I see contracts in my brain. So I don't see an indemnity provision. I see, an indemnity provision in my brain links to a standard of care, links to a scope of service, right? So it's why I didn't know that people didn't read contracts that way until I was long into this career and was giving a presentation, and everybody was like, wow, that's an interesting way to go about that. I was like, everybody doing that? Okay. So this is, again, not a closed universe of documents you might need. Again, the sky's the limit. You can do anything with a contract. And I preach this at Jax, and I preach this when I'm on any podcast. I'm like, look, contracts are everything. Contracts keep you out of the system. Contracts keep you out of court. Contracts do everything. So you'll have client contracts. You'll have employment contracts if you want to hire anybody, which I would recommend against. You have non-disclosure agreements. You have business contracts. So when you're dealing with businesses or purchasing agreements, you will have, as an alternative to employees, independent contractors or consultants. You will have intellectual property agreements and assignments and licenses. Again, for this crowd, I know how we feel about patents and intellectual property, and I know how a lot of everybody who's either here or watching feels about the protection of patents and intellectual property, and how I'm on the West Coast with Scramblin' with Brian Norton, and he actually converted the way I feel about patents, and I agree with him now that patents are kind of bullshit. But be that as it may, they exist, so you got to deal with them. And you probably want to do something. You probably want to do something to protect anything that's really unique in your business, like your logo, who you say you are. Those things are important, I think. I told you I got goofy with these. All right, this is a lot. This is drinking from a fire hose, right? So this is my breathe, don't panic, just build them as you need them. Don't think that when you start a business, you have to go, oh my God, I have to draft every single contract now and have a full. No, that's going to cost you thousands of dollars, hours of time, and your brain's going to melt. Like, don't do it. We even do it. Like, we're a huge company, right? We have like 2,600 employees. We do architecture projects from interior TI on a coffee shop to a ground up hospital that's, hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars to build. And a lot of times somebody will come to me and say, hey, do we have a template or do we have a contract to do this? And I'll be like, no. And this is a company that's been around since like the 50s. So sometimes you just have to draft, and that's okay. So I don't want anybody to go, oh my God, this is so much information. Now I'm discouraged. I'm never starting a business. This is awful. Don't do that. You'll be fine. But I did want to talk about the two kind of basic types of contracts. So you're going to have service contracts or sales contracts. They're very different. The things that you'll see in a service contract, you should not see in a sales of goods contract. The things that you see in a sale of good product contract, you better damn well not see in a service contract, because you will have big problems, except in Texas. Texas has some great laws on this. Okay, so these are the types of service contracts you might have. So I just kind of came up, brainstormed a bunch of different things that you guys might do. I know that everybody's always looking for, like, what can I do? What business can I start? How can I go out and like hustle? There's design and consulting, construction is service, training, management, childcare, security, maintenance, transportation to people or goods. That's a third kind of contract. I put permaculture, homesteading, livestock, food preservation, the service, not selling the thing you preserved, right? Because we have already in the Pacific Northwest a service where you can like hire someone to preserve your food in a freeze dryer for you. Like, people are buying really nice, expensive freeze dryers, and then they're renting you time, or you can bring them a big thing of tomatoes and they'll freeze dry them for you. So that's the one that was in the back of my head for that. Marketing services, livestock, care of livestock. I certainly was, when I ride, I pay a ton of money for somebody to take care of my horse because I travel and can't be there every day. So all the things. All right, so we're going to talk about something. Look, I didn't label this one. Oh, yes, I did. Okay, well, let me go backwards. Why? I'm pushing the wrong button, that's why. Okay, so we're talking about service contracts. All right, so the basic stuff you'll see in a service contract is here. There's typically more than that, I hope, but that's the basics. You always want to say how much you're going to get paid. That's the most important thing. Like, very clearly, not just you're going to pay me some stuff to do some stuff. You're going to pay me, on a monthly basis based on a percentage complete. And here's what I think that's going to be. Like, you need to set it out really clearly because clients will try and push that. Scope of services. I hammer my architects on this all the time. Not just, we're going to do architecture for your new building. Please. How many phases? What are you going to do? Are you in charge of structural? Are you in charge of civil? If you are doing livestock, or if you use horses, because that's what I'm in, if you have a boarding facility and you've got somebody's horses boarded there, are you going to feed supplements? How many times a day? Are you going to do bedding? Are you going to do shavings? How much shavings? How deep are you going to bed the shavings? How many times are you going to feed hay? Are you willing to blanket and unblanket them? Are you willing to do fly masks? Are you willing to pick their feet? Are you willing to groom them? What if you got to put it all, because you will, especially in horses, because horse people are insane. They just are. You're going to have somebody who's like, can you go get Fluffy out of the pasture and give them a medicated shampoo bath and then treat their ears for fungus? And you're going to be like, wow, I did not sign on for this as a barn owner. Like, you got to say that, like, I don't do Medicaid, whatever. You need to say it. How are you going to amend it? Like, can you amend it with an email? Does it have to be signed? Like, put that in there. How are you going to get out? Please put an escape hatch in everything you do. I have seen more problems on projects and sales where there is no way out. I did it to myself with this horse. There were reasons why you could terminate, but there was no method to terminate. I didn't actually care because I'm a lawyer and I was like, whatever, sue me. But it's better for everybody if it just says like, if you're going to terminate, here's the steps you'll take and this is what will happen. Like have an exit ramp, please. Insurance we'll talk about in a minute. Your contract should say who owns the stuff. If you're doing graphic design, when you're done with it, who owns that? I don't know. I mean, if you're doing logos, the client's going to want to own it. Are you allowed to put it on your website as a project that you did as marketing? Can you use it as marketing? A lot of clients won't let you. So now what do? Your whole portfolio is shit that you can't use for marketing. Somebody says, yeah, I really want to hire you. Can I see your work? And you're like, I can't show you my work. Sorry. You don't want to do that. So make sure you give yourself some ability to market your stuff, right? What law is going to apply? Texas. Where's your project? Where are you? Where's your client? Your client's in New York. You're in Texas. You kind of pick whatever you want. I mean, really. If you're an architect, I would say Texas or engineer. They have pretty great laws. If you're doing like cutting edge opinion, like hit pieces on celebrities, what's the state the Johnny Depp case was in? Virginia. Pick Virginia because they have a cap on defamation damages. That's why they did it there. Because even if she had won, there was a limit on what she could recover. So yeah, I mean, you just have to go with that. Okay, dispute resolution. I'm gonna have more slides on this in a second. So dispute resolution. Everybody goes, we gotta go to court. Maybe. Mediation, binding or non-binding, arbitration. Okay, so I think I have slides on this. We're gonna hold that. We're gonna hold that till later because I go more in depth on that. All right, let's talk about sales. Food, resale, livestock, apparel, cosmetics, whatever, homegrown, everything, handmade, everything, all the things, sell all the things, right? Sales contracts mean anything. We're just talking about selling stuff here, right? So it's similar, but you want to make sure you describe what you're selling. Don't put a box. Don't put like jam. That's not helpful. Describe it well so that if there's an argument like you didn't give me what I paid for it. Yes, I did. Here's the description and right. So make sure you do that. Who's buying and who's selling? That's important later. Pricing and price adjustments. If you call me up and say, will you sell me 10 pounds of coffee? And I say, sure. It's this much money. Well, then you sit on it for 6 months and coffee goes up 20%. Do you still want to sell your coffee at that price? No. So you wanted to say, this price is good for this many days. I would recommend 30. If you're feeling real generous and somebody's, it's something else that's going to take you a little bit longer to make, maybe give them 60, but put a time limit on that sucker. Because you don't want to be selling it 2024 coffee at 2021 prices. That's it's a bad day. Taxes, who pays them? Are there even taxes? There might not be. Some states tax food in different ways or consumable items, and you got to know that. You got to know where you're selling it. Or you can say F it, right? But just know that someday you may get a phone call. So, I mean, it's a choice. Okay, let's see. Payment amount, dates, method. Yeah, you want to know that too. Do they need to pay you first before you ship it? Are you going to ship it and then they're going to pay you? Or are they going to pay a deposit and then or whatever? Like it's whatever you want it to be. Delivery is good. Location and time and who's paying for shipping. A lot of you guys will offer free shipping if you buy a certain quantity. Make sure that's spelled out. What happens if things go wrong? I sent you whatever and it shows up like the mail carrier froze it and thought it and froze it and thought it and froze it and it's totally hosed, right? What are you going to do? Is that your fault? Is it the carrier's fault? Good luck getting money out of the post office. Just decide what you want to do. Just have a plan so that you're not surprised when a client calls you and goes, my product is totally messed up. You're like, oh, because the way you react to that is going to determine if you keep your customer in the future. Even if your reaction is like, hey, I'm sorry, I need you to make a claim to the post office or UPS or whatever. If that's fine, if that's what you want to do, but you need to know that and have a way to deliver that information to your client that doesn't make you seem like a jerk. Or I'll ship you another one. Like certainly when I was doing lip balm, if like the stuff got melted in transit, I just sent them another one. Those things didn't cost me very much to make. And if they got messed up, it was fine. I had enough padded into my pricing where I could do that. But other products, not so much, right? Same thing with choice of law, pick your state. This is the one where you're going to want to have warranties and disclaimers for your product. I absolutely love Scramblin', Brian Norton's. He makes a THC CBD topical, and he called it plain cream because it literally does nothing. That's his disclaimer. This is plain cream. It does absolutely nothing. It won't help anything. It might not even be moisturizing. It might kill you. I thought that was one of the best like disclaimers that I've ever seen. And the idea is that you have to be very careful not to make claims to things that will get the FDA's attention. Like you don't want to get their attention, which you can even do with stupid stuff like lip gloss. If you say it's good for cold sores, they'll be like, no, it's not. That's not FDA approved, So I thought the plain cream thing was great. Limitation of liability. Try this. Try and get it in if you can. It basically says, if this lip balm makes your face blow up, my only liability is to send you a new one. Something like that. You can try it. The enforceability of that depends on the state, the circumstances, and the product. But you'll find that out when you start Googling.
Can I just add in?
Yeah.
Also, like for anybody freaking out about this,
Yeah, don't freak out.
your contract should be more complicated as the value of what you're selling goes up.
Correct.
Your contract for a $10,000 sale is
Yeah.
very different than your contract for a $10 sale.
Yeah. Oh, if you even have one. Like for a lip balm sale, you're not going to have a contract. You're going to have a website or an order form with some language on it and a one-liner. And right. But if you were shipping somebody 10,000 pounds of coffee, that's going to be different. Right? Or, same thing. If you're building somebody a storage shed on the side of their house, this isn't quite true. That can be a much simpler document than I'm building you a hospital from the ground up. Right. So, and a lot of states now are putting things in their actual laws where your construction and design stuff can be shorter and shorter because you can just leave it up to, that's the way it is in the state. I'm not worried about it. If you like it, or you have to write yourself out. And then dispute resolution again. Oh, I went the wrong way. Okay. So that's why I held this till now. This is kind of one of my big ones. You'll hear me talk about when I'm on podcasts and stuff. Litigation, mediation, or arbitration. All right, let's talk about this. All right, litigation. Do I really have to say this? You don't want to get involved in litigation. Litigation sucks. That's all I did for 10 years, and it sucked the soul out of my body. It's a lot. It's a ton of paperwork. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of invasive, like, let's look at all the things on your computer and see if there's any evidence on there that's useful. It's a lot of money and lawyers, and it just takes forever. Courts are still impacted. You could be looking at a trial date 2 years out, maybe, depending on where you are. In Canada, 10. I'm not even joking. We have claims in British Columbia right now, and I don't even understand how these exist. The projects are from 2005.
Wow.
But because of COVID, they gave all these extensions to the filings. And so, we are going to litigate stuff from 2005 in British Columbia. And we still don't even have a trial date. Yeah.
And Hurricane Ike happened in Texas in 2008. The last of the insurance claims that had to be litigated was resolved last year.
Yeah. So stuff can happen and you can be wrapped, and this is like life consuming. It's awful. So you don't want to be involved in this. It's expensive, extremely time consuming. You will have to involve lawyers and maybe very expensive experts. You service providers, that's experts. It's good. Sometimes you can get away without expert testimony, but you're probably still going to want an expert depending on what it is. And experts are running, I don't know about down here, but I'm paying $600 an hour for standard of care. And what do you
How
think?
do you become an expert?
Yeah, I should give that class. That's not a joke. So you contractors, engineers, architects, I mean, coffee experts, you just have to start doing it. Start maybe publishing some articles. It's a great gig. It really, really is. If you can break in, so the way you have to kind of break in slowly and get firms to start giving you kind of low value cases, because the first thing they ask you is, and how many cases have you testified in, right? Like they start going through your credentials, but it's totally doable. And it's a great gig.
You can suck the life out of people.
Yeah. Well, I love my experts. Like yeah. Well, I'd say some of my experts are like some of my really best friends. Like I have a costing and delay expert out of South Carolina, and I just love that firm. And we hang out. We're like actual friends in real life. They're all engineers and they're super fun. So yeah, if you're in an industry that is one that needs an expert when there's litigation, I highly recommend looking into becoming an expert. A lot of writing reports. Oh yeah.
What warrants litigation?
Yeah.
What?
Anything
Why
you
and
want. So I always tell people anybody can sue anyone for anything. So somebody could sue you because the lip balm made their face break out,
Okay.
or maybe you ordered a product and something shipped that wasn't that product, and you feel like you got the short end of the stick, so you want reimbursement. It could be an injury.
So then for litigation, I'm gonna hire a lawyer
Yep.
because the lip balm
Made your face break
made
out.
my face break
Mhm.
out.
Yep.
So I'm going to hire a lawyer
And sue
then
the
we
producer.
go, and that's where litigation comes into play?
Yep, and that's where so then you're going to go to court and try and prove that it was the lip balm's fault, and they need to pay you damages for your dermatology. They need to reimburse you for your dermatology appointments and your lost time and your emotional distress because your face broke out and your dog was distressed, so you got to pay damages for that too.
So that's going into
That's
the
going into
the courthouse?
Yep, that's going right to the
court?
courthouse.
Okay,
Yep, that's going right to the courthouse, and convincing a judge or a jury that you're right.
Okay.
And so a lot of times with that, you're going to have to hire like a dermatology expert to come in and say like,
testify.
yeah, these ingredients in this lip balm certainly are known to have caused this, and they should have known, and yeah. So it's that, and it's a fight. Yeah.
In this exact setting right here, who do I sue for my butt going to sleep? Is it the presenter?
That's right.
Is it the home
It's
tenant?
everybody.
Is it the homeowner?
So it's everybody. You sue everybody. Yeah, that's right. That's a great question, because the answer really is, in most court cases, they sue. They throw it at the wall and see what sticks. And sometimes what sticks, it sticks to you, and it's not even your fault. I'm involved in one now, in a state where my architects were literally the interior designer. They drew like interior design, right? You don't even, in some states, don't even need a license for it. Like they set it up, pretty furniture, pretty paint, pretty whatever, and we're getting sued for an aging roof. Like, excuse me, that they knew about, that we found emails that they knew about, and we're trying to get an insurance policy to cover before they signed our contract. And they're suing us for missing the aging roof for $6 million. We're like, interior designer, and everybody else is settled, and we're the only one left in the case. We're probably going to litigation on this
Because they want you to settle, right?
because we're the biggest, deepest checkbook. We're the deep pocket, so that's why. Yeah.
Can I ask you?
Yeah.
So when you talked about kind of the expediency of conflict resolution
Mhm.
or the lack thereof, can you write that kind of verbiage into a contract?
Yes, that's what we're calling. That's
Okay,
exactly where I'm
sorry.
headed.
All right.
Yeah, nope, you're
I'll
great.
shut
That
up.
was a good foreshadow. So litigation sucks. And this is the other thing. The judge and the jury, they're not going to go know shit about roasting coffee or building a hospital or whatever. Like they're not going to know anything, right? All right, mediation. Not binding, so it has to be a step before something that is binding, either court or arbitration. But I like this. I write this into all my contracts. All my contracts say you must participate in one round of non-binding mediation before you go to either arbitration or court. Because a lot of times, if you can get everybody at a table and get a neutral party to kind of walk around, beat everybody up, they'll come to resolution. Many cases can be settled if you just get a good mediator in there. So I always put this in everything. Arbitration. All right. This is like court light. It can be. This is binding. It can be a lot more efficient because you're not bound to the court rules or the deadlines. Like for court, you get a trial date when the court tells you you get a trial date in 2 years. Arbitration, they want you on their docket because they're getting paid hourly. They want you or money. And you can get it done a lot faster. It can be really, really expensive if you don't set it up correctly. I've got arbitrators charging $1,000 an hour. I mean, it's just banana. Like the bills that I get after a 10-hour day of arbitration is like, oh God, I hope it actually finished. But it still can be cheaper than being tied up in court for 2 to 3 years, right? So you got to kind of make sure you know what your arbitrator is going to charge you. You can choose your arbitrator. You can choose your arbitrator. It doesn't have to be a lawyer. It can be anybody. So let's talk about this. Aha. All right. I use this. This is the ADR website. It's the, oh my God, it's AAA's homepage, American Arbitration Association of American what the hell is it?
American
AAA.
Arbitration
Thank you.
Association.
Thank you. It's right there. Yeah. American Arbitration Concussion. American Arbitration Association. All right. They have like 14 arbitration clauses for you to go to their website and steal. Like nothing needs to be drafted from scratch. So this is an easy one. Any controversy or claim arising out of relating to this contract or breach thereof shall be settled by arbitration administered by the AAA under its construction industry arbitration rules, because that's the construction one I use. And judgment on the award rendered by the arbitrators may be entered in any court having jurisdiction. Okay, so done. We're going to arbitration. They write these. These have been tested. These are valid. And they have for sales, they have for services, they have everything at that link. So you may include experience requirements. We put this in Scramblin's coffee contracts. Any arbitrator for him must have at least 5 years experience in the purchase of wholesale coffee beans, construction of off-grid homesteads, whatever. Like you could put that in there. Like you don't get to be my arbitrator unless you understand the construction of off-grid homesteads. Period. So you can be that specific. I actually just had one Tuesday when I was trying to get everything done before I came out here because I didn't want to do contracts on the plane because that sucks. That said that the arbitrator had to be a retired judge with at least 10 years of experience in arbitration. And I hated that because judges are either elected or appointed. I have no control over who those people are. Judges don't necessarily hear the type of case that you need them to know about. And I thought that was a stupid requirement because even if you go all the way through undergrad and law school, I'm checking my time. Thank you. Even if you go all the way through arbitration law school, you're like 25 when you graduate. Like the youngest judges I know are like probably 40. So then they're 50. So you've now limited your pool of arbitrators to like retired judges ages like 55 and up. Like, do you want to litigate Bitcoin in front of that person? Like, I feel like that's a horrible idea, right? So that's why I crossed it out. So you can pick a region, Tennessee, Texas, whatever, doesn't matter. Cost, everyone pays their own, and you can choose whether or not the decision is appealed. It's good stuff. You get to decide. That's the takeaway. You get to decide if you put it in your contract. All right, insurance. I'm going to cook now because nobody wants to listen to this shit.
Can I ask
all
you
right.
something about arbitration real quick?
Yes.
So, like, I think Stripe just updated their terms of service where they make
They
you
sure
do arbitration.
Mhm.
So, but you said that's not binding. So can I?
It can be.
It can
Yeah.
be.
Mhm.
So, like, as a consumer,
Yeah.
like, you're kind of forced to agree to the terms of service.
You
But
are.
How is that? How
It's-
is that binding
It's
when?
it may not be. So they're called contracts of adhesion, where it's
Yeah.
like you have to. It's like skydiving, like you have to sign it, but there might be something crazy in there that you don't know about. So you would be able to challenge the validity of that agreement for sure. But kind of depending on what the arbitration provision says, you might like it.
Yeah.
It just depends. But yeah, they can be challenged. Like it's not necessarily like, oh, I had to sign this new terms of services, I'm stuck with it, right?
Well, there was some way to like
Opt
write
out.
them and opt out.
You can.
Yeah.
I've done it on some.
Okay.
So insurance really fast. This is important, even though I'm going to burn through it. There's commercial general liability, obviously auto, workers' comp, and professional liability. This is your most common. It's bodily injury. It's business operations, products or injuries. This is like the standard policy that everybody has. Make sure it's covering what you want. Yeah.
If you use your car for your business,
You must
make
have
sure
this.
either your auto insurance will cover you using
Yeah.
it for business or
Yeah.
get this.
Or get this.
I
Yes.
have worked dozens of cases
Yes.
where people have been working for their business
Yeah.
and their auto insurance did not apply when they caused a car.
If you have a personal auto policy and you don't have this, or you don't have this that encompasses autos, you could wreck on the way to a job site or whatever and be in a world of hurt. It can also protect you against advertising injury or people saying you stole my IP. So get it. And I have like my auto policy on my truck is a hybrid personal and commercial. It's not even a percentage breakdown. It's just personal and commercial. So get that. Auto, you got to have it. Covers all the things usually. May need to be commercial depending on what you're doing and the type of vehicle. I have a 550, so you can only get commercial insurance on that. So it's commercial with a personal allowance. Which is fine. Workers' comp, you know what that is. If you have employees, W-2 employees, you must have this. It's not optional.
Except in Texas.
Oh God, you're right. Except in Texas, it doesn't have minimums. You have to get employer's liability in Texas. If you're in Texas, but get it because they can take all your shit. Right? Somebody slips and falls on your job site. It's all your fault. You have to pay their bills for the rest of their life. Right? Get this. Yeah, Texas, I have to write my provisions. So PLI, this is like licensed professionals. This is architects, engineers, contractors. If you're doing design build. The mirror to this is malpractice insurance. If you're a lawyer, a doctor, a CPA, whatever. Yeah.
Back one slide.
Yes.
please. You're an independent consultant.
Yes.
Your business is
Like a
consulting,
1099.
and nothing is done in your home office. in
Uh-huh.
your office. Everything you do is at somebody's either location or a remote
Yeah.
console.
Mhm.
This,
For yourself, like
Yeah.
it's your consulting company,
yourself.
and you don't have any employees,
No.
you don't need it.
Yeah.
If you don't have any employees, you don't need it.
If you're a sole proprietor.
Right. If you're a sole proprietor, if you're a corporation, your corporation license will probably require you to get it. They'll make
That's
you
state
get
by
it.
state.
State, yeah.
Texas basically says if you are the owner of a corporation, you
You
don't
got it.
have to have workers' comp for yourself.
Right.
Utah says you do.
California, there's a form you fill out that says I don't have any employees, and you don't have to do it. Washington is monopolistic. The state controls these policies. They change their mind every year. So Washington, Ohio, I used to know the list. So yeah, that's why I wrote broker question because it does vary by state quite a lot. This one is the weird one. Professional liability insurance. The policy that responds is the policy that is being paid for at the time when the claim is made. So if you do a project now, if you design a building now, and in 5 years you've gone out of business and you're not carrying the insurance anymore, there's no insurance. This is a problem for you. So if you're looking at professional liability insurance, you need to make sure you're talking to your broker about how long does it last? Can I buy like an add-on that protects me if I like retire? Because we've had this. We've had this where there are claims 10 years later. My structural has retired in Boca and there's no more insurance and my ass is on the hook for it because they're gone. So we end up having to pay. So you just want to make sure like the longevity of your insurance is going to cover you. These are all I could do an hour on insurance, like no problem. And you'd all die of boredom. Yes.
Isn't that like a claims made policy?
Yeah, so
Covers
it's a
you
claim,
moving
correct.
forward,
It's a claims made
yeah.
policy. So there's like a chart, right? And like claims made is the policy in effect on the date the claim is made responds.
Right.
And then everything else pretty much is occurrence based,
Right.
which is like the policy that was in effect when the thing happened.
Right.
So like if the
Usually
injury,
nothing if
which
you've
is
retired.
correct. Yeah. And yeah, so that's right. So that's why you got to be a little careful with your malpractice and your PLA. All right, accounting taxes. I'm going to blow through this. I know. Yeah.
Just a broad general question. So much of this is like state by state.
It is.
How do you start getting familiar with that other than just going like a
Sure.
plug in?
So a lot of law firms and organizations put out what's called 50 state surveys.
Okay.
And you can literally Google like 50 state survey of workers' comp insurance requirements. If you can't find them, I'm happy to like help you find links. Or like if I did a thing on indemnity, which is totally different in all 50 states, kind of. There, actually, I'm part of the American Bar Association Construction Law Forum, and I'm on the steering committee for the design division, and we put out a 50 state survey on design stuff, and we refresh that about every 5 years. So look for a 50 state survey, and it's nicely laid out. It's like state issue. Here's their opinion in the state. Here's why, and it's there. If you have a hard time finding one, like I'm happy there. So yeah, I know taxation is like a 5. Yeah, I got it. We're good. We got it. Consequences if you don't pay them. You won't like them. Seriously, spend time with them.
No shit.
They will come take all of your shit. I don't care if you have a friend. Okay, I'm stealing this from Jack Spirko. If you've got a dude that lives under a bridge that says he's never paid taxes in 20 years, that's just because they haven't found him yet, okay? Like, look, it's not okay. The common law trust shit, like, don't do it. Like, don't do it. Because you don't have the money to run this defense, all right? Because if Wesley Snipes couldn't pull it off, you're not going to be able to pull it off either. This guy listened to some idiot that talked him into doing a common law trust scam and misreporting, redefining what income is and filing it with the IRS. He eventually got caught and he went to prison. So if this dude didn't have the money to beat it, neither do you. Okay, that's like, look, because my point to these guys is, even if there were magic words, if there were magic words, we would be using them for our clients to win, period. Right? You think we're just hiding that shit in our pockets and not charging people for it? Are you kidding me? I would make $1 bajillion. It's the government. They don't care about magic words. Like Jack's analogy was like, if you're walking down a back alley and you've got a wallet and 3 dudes come up to you with baseball bats, you're gonna give them your wallet. Yeah. It doesn't matter if they're wrong or like, you know who the IRS is in that scenario, right? So you just give me your dough. That's Bill Cosby coming out there. Sorry. Give me your dough. So these are a bunch of these. Like, these guys go to prison all the time. Like, I can't afford to deal with this in my life. Like, and this just puts a target on your back. So just don't do it. All right. These are some quick stories. We're running out of time. So just an example. You do a great job on a construction project, but your drywall sub makes a huge mess. It all needs to be ripped out and redone. Your contractor has no insurance. It will cost about $100,000. Materials, labor, and delay cost you. And now what? Dude has no insurance. What do? I mean, cry.
Spend the $100,000.
You spend the $100,000. Yeah, that's right.
Next time, make sure you.
And next time, spend the $100,000. This exact scenario just happened to my company. It cost us, $4 million, because they didn't have insurance. Sucked. You sell some really good gummy bears. Client breaks a tooth. They want you to pay for it. It's $2,500. What happens? What should happen? I hope you have insurance. I hope your deductible is lower than that. Right? You pay. I mean, you want to go to court over $2,500? Nope. So.
Although there's a good chance they don't either.
Well, that's a good point. It's like a little bit of it is a game of chicken, right? Like, where's your line? Where's my line?
Is that what they do? Like, just the lip balm scenario.
Yeah.
Somebody breaks out. Is there a dollar limit where you would make a different choice than just paying it?
It's going to depend on the individual seller. Like, I know depending on what kind of insurance I have and how I'm feeling about my case. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I would if I was insurance up, like if I had a $5 million policy and my deductible was like $50 and somebody was like, it broke me out and I want $10,000, I'd be like, sue me. Kokum butter is not going to do that. It's not. So, and depending on what you put in it too. So like if you were being a little French and edgy, like maybe you would write a check more quickly. If you're using like literally like boring ingredients that everybody uses, maybe you're a little more risk takey.
And more than likely, a lot of these lawsuits are coming from wealthier people that are just looking for somebody else to pay the bill, like your client wanting the new roof. Like they have money.
They have money. Yeah.
They just don't want to spend it.
Don't pay. So it's all a game of chicken. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think in those cases, like if you're going to self-pay on stuff, I worked in the grocery industry, and someone would say like I broke a tooth on your soup or whatever, and we would decide to self-pay because it was going to be $700, $1,200, whatever. But we always go through our broker, and he would have them sign a waiver.
Yeah,
accepting liability.
And that's a good point.
Here's a check.
If you're gonna do this, the next step is you got to get a waiver and a release saying, in exchange for $2,500, I fully release you from any other damages that might have to do with this from now and all time throughout the universe. So really the idea is just like form your business in a way that's right for you, or not. Like I said, just like make your decision, but make an informed decision, right? Be aware of the possible contracts and waivers you might need, but don't like freak out. Just create them as you need them. get the right insurance for the job, and keep really accurate records, and just kind of breathe. And like, it's all very logical. Contracts do not need to have a bunch of legalese in them. In fact, reasonable lawyers are moving away from contracts with a lot of $10 words in them, because that just leaves us open to having to argue what the meaning of is in a courtroom. Like, like, it's awful. Nobody wants to do that. So, there's no reason why you can't write the bulk of your contracts yourself, because your lawyer doesn't know the scope of your construction project. We don't know how many times you're going to go out to the site, or how many times you're willing to do a redraw or redesign, and in what phase. So a lot of that's up to you guys. Like, if you're selling whatever it is, it's your product. You're the expert in your product. Really, the only job of a lawyer is to translate that into a document that reflects reality. We're just scriveners. We're just writing down what you want, right? If anytime you're in a business discussion or a business negotiation and it turns into this like lawyer to lawyer thing, something has gone very wrong. Like on business, these lawyers do not make business decisions. We tell you what the language means, and you tell us what you want, and then we make it say that, and that's it. Like businesses are not driven by lawyers. We're your support staff, right? We're no different than marketing, accounting, none of that. And I see lawyers that want to take these transactions over, and it always ends badly, because we don't know. Like, we're not business. Let me tell you, lawyers aren't business people. We're not. So if you've got nothing out of this other than be business driven, your product, I'm a happy person. But we're always happy to help. Like, any of us are happy to help if you have questions.
Thanks, Patricia.
Yeah.
That was great. And I'm sure it's good for saying that some other questions they can
Please
come
do.
in
Oh,
here.
I have.
Because you're only here until.
I'm only here until like lunch Saturday. This is my Instagram, and I put it up there because I know it's embarrassing, but this is really kind of the best way to get me. Or on Telegram. I'm on Telegram all the time, but it's just know that this is a letter I, not a 1, because they don't let you start a Telegram handle with a number. I don't know why. So and 15 hands is a horse measurement. I'm exactly 5 feet tall, and that's 15 hands in horse world. So,
I gotcha.
yeah. So a backpacker friend came up with this for me about 10 years ago. I said, I need a name for a blog that's like horses and guns and outdoor and stuff. And he said, 15 hand stuff. And that's been it the whole time.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, so we got about 12 minutes until Porterhouse is talking about branding on the internet. So stretch your legs, do your thing, and I guess you're already here, so we're going to do it down here. So
Yeah. Sweet.
I don't know.
No one's sleeping. That's good.
No, it was great. That was very stimulating.
Good. I'm glad.
All kidding aside. Yeah.
You would absolutely get qualified as an expert in solar science systems.
Yeah, or scaffolding.
I don't think I've seen
Feeling that.
You're expert.
Walking like paces for that long.
10 minutes to get